Hi, everybody. This is Jimmy. You're reading with Jimmy. We're about to tackle Shakespeare's famous play called Macbeth. This is an introduction to Macbeth before we get into the reading of the first part of Macbeth. We're going to read it in several parts. Ready? Okay, here we go. We're about to read Macbeth, and I wanted to tell you a few things before tackling this masterpiece. First, reading with Shakespeare is hard work. Don't try to do it with AI. But reading with Jimmy will try to make the work easier, interesting, and worthwhile. You have to understand that language at that time, well, it was more like music. It had rhythm, underlying meanings, kind of like life itself, you know? There was no television, no radio, no iPhones, no nothing. Just people, words, and actors. So if you read Hamlet with me on this website, I introduced you to the world where these plays took place, to an audience who understood the language and its meanings naturally. A lot of them couldn't read or write. But at that time, a lot of it was oral tradition, spoken language. People understood it. They told each other stories at night by the hearth. Macbeth is a play about murder, ambition, the supernatural. It's got a little bit of everything for everybody. In fact, Macbeth is one of those plays that people think that they know even before they ever read it. Witches, daggers, ghosts, and these things float around our memories. Somehow they get into our heads. But even if they don't, you are in for the time of your life. So when you read the play together with Jimmy, something is going to happen to you, I guarantee it. The language is going to hit you. Now, I may not pronounce every word properly, and I'll get emails about that, jimmy@readingwithjimmy.com, but that's okay. I'm from the Midwest. All my degrees are in English. We're not here to become perfect pronunciation experts. We're here to understand language, the beauty of language. It's not in the modern dialogue that hits us. It flows quickly like a movie script. Shakespeare doesn't write that kind of English. His dialogue, sometimes it's not even conversational. It's musical. For example, Hamlet speaks in puzzles. I call that, when we read it together, word fencing. It's clever. It's intellectual. Macbeth speaks in images, darkness, blood. For example, the word blood or bloody is used over 41 times. Now, why is that? Jimmy, do they show the blood on stage? Well, they do something. You got to use your imagination. And ladies and gentlemen, your imaginations are more powerful than any Martin Scorsese movie. I'm telling you right now. You actually, you know what? When we start reading this, you can almost taste the words. What the hell are you talking about? Well, you'll see. So, as we walk through Macbeth, scene by scene, don't worry if the words feel unfamiliar at first. Let them work on you. The way music does. You know, you hear a song once and you like it, you hear it again, and then you can hear it 100 times. And the 100th time you hear it, you hear new things that you never heard before. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the classical literature experience. And I'm going to try to help you as much as I can. So, the story takes place in Scotland. It's about Macbeth, who's a Scottish general, and he meets 3 witches who make a prediction for him that he is going to be the king of Scotland. But they also predict that his friend Banquo will have all the kings after Macbeth. In other words, Macbeth gets it once, and then Banquo is going to get everybody else. As a result of that prediction, something happens to Macbeth. He becomes ambitious. Do you know what ambition is? Hubris, ambition. Somebody says something, oh yeah, you get greedy, right? So urged on by his wife, Lady Macbeth, he murders the king and he seizes the crown. But instead of securing his power, the crime actually begins to unravel. His sanity, her sanity, he's haunted by guilt, threatened by suspicion, and so he's driven to further violence. Everything collapses around him, and I'm not going to tell you the ending, but you are in for a very rich experience, as the language brings out some of the most important words ever written or spoken. I want you to remember that when we read this together. These words still are in our minds someplace. And keep in mind that this is drama on stage. The amount of scene changes. There are more shorter scenes than in most other tragedies. It's like a cinema. Quick cuts, rapid transitions, people running in and out of stages, boom. And they're on a middle of the stage in those days. It was the middle. They didn't have curtains. Short bursts of action, sudden shifts in locations. Think about this. The play contains 28 scenes. 28. Fewer than in Hamlet, but far shorter and faster and more numerous in sequence. So rhythm matters. I told you, his language is like music, which has rhythm, right? And rhythm matters. You'll be amazed. So for example, the witches appear in short, sharp bursts, almost like interruptions in the natural order. Keep in mind, people are watching all of this on stage. And like I said, amazing. I'm going to give you one example before we start reading together. Macbeth is discussing his plan to kill King Duncan with his wife. And so he asks her if we should fail. Now, oh my God, what if we fail? She says, we fail? Screw your courage to the sticking place, and we'll not fail. And when Duncan is asleep, whereto the rather shall his day's hard journey secondly invite him, his 2 chamberlains, will I wine, and with sail so convinced that memory, the warder of the brain, shall be a fume, and the receipt of reason a limbeck only, when in the swinish sleep their drenched natures lie as in death. What cannot you and I perform upon the unguarded Duncan? She's going to get the guys drunk, right? His chamberlains. What not put about his spongy officers who shall bear the guilt of our great quell? In other words, she's going to get them loaded, they'll be drunk, and they'll get the blame. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to read every word carefully. Don't be put back by that, what I just read. Well, Jimmy, I can't read that. That's too hard. No. We're going to take our time, and I guarantee you by the second or third part, there's about 6 or 7 parts, you're going to be so comfortable with Shakespeare, you may say, well, Jimmy, I'm going to just read it on my own, which would be a great success for me. The sticking place Lady Macbeth refers to, according to scholars, is the point where a crossbow string is pulled back and held taut in its notch, ready to be released. You know what a crossbow is? But ladies and gentlemen, you don't need to know that. You don't need to know that that's what she means by the sticking place to understand what she says when she says it. Screw your courage to the sticking place. In other words, put it wherever, in your heart. If you believe the scholars, doesn't matter. But don't be a coward. Put it in your sticking place. Do you have a sticking place? I have a sticking place. Oh, I'm a stubborn guy sometimes. Right? Duncan will be asleep. She'll take care of the servants, etc. What I told you. Note, sleep is swinish. Drenched natures lie in death. When you sleep, it's kind of like you die, isn't it? You just lose consciousness. I loves to sleep when I can sleep. They will be so out of it they can do nothing, right? But the beauty of her language is what you're after. And as we read page after page of this play, I'm going to guarantee not only you'll appreciate Macbeth, you will understand it. Especially after when I analyze it with you, right? So let's begin. This powerful play, Macbeth by William Shakespeare. This is a drama, The notes are by G.B. Harrison. There are no notes in the play. I bought the play pure and simple for you to read with me, but I put in notes from G.B. Harrison, the guy whose text I read, this is a page from his text. And I want to just go through this very quickly. These are the actors and actresses. We have Duncan, the King of Scotland. He's got 2 sons, Malcolm, Donalbain. These are his generals, Macbeth and Banquo. And then he's got some noblemen, Macduff. If you've seen Braveheart, you know that's Scottish, right? You know there's Scotland, noblemen, Macduff, Lennox, Ross, Meneth, Angus, Cathis, and then you got Fleance. He's the son of Banquo. Stuart, the Earl of Northumberland and general of the English forces. Notice, right? Siward, S-I-W-A-R-D, the English forces. This play takes place in Scotland. Young Siward is his son. Seaton, an officer attending on Macbeth, a boy, an English doctor, blah, 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 and some of them. Then we have Lady Macbeth, Lady Macduff, and a gentlewoman attending Lady Macbeth. We've got these 3 wishes. We got some apparitions, lords, gentlemen, officers, lots of people on this stage. Lots of people. Ready? The Tragedy of Macbeth, also known as the Scottish play, by William Shakespeare. Act 1, Scene 1, a desert place. Thunder and lightning. Enter 3 witches. First witch. When shall we 3 meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain? The second witch says, when the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost and won. You see the rhyme? I told you this is like music. When the hurly-burly's done. Well, Jimmy, I don't know what hurly-burly is. Look down here. There's a note. It's commotion. There's thunder, lightning, and rain going on. Thunder and lightning. See, there's no rain because it's on stage. But there's thunder and lightning. Now, how can that be? Well, they're making sound effects, right? So put that in your mind. Third witch. That will be ere the set of sun. That will be for the set of sun. First witch. Where the place? Second witch. Upon the heath. Third witch. There to meet with Macbeth. The first witch. I come, Grey Malkin. Second witch. Paddock calls. What's all that about, Jimmy? Grey Malkin is a common name for a gray cat. That's courtesy of G.B. Harrison. The first witch is familiar spirit. The paddock is a toad. So these are witches, remember? So, gray cat. I come, gray cat. Second witch. Paddock calls. Third witch. Anon. In other words, let's go. Oh, some of the most famous lines are coming up. Fair is foul, and foul is fair. Hover through the fog and filthy air. And they leave, exit. Scene 2. That's one scene. So we got these 3 witches. They're going to meet Macbeth. Got it? But the way they talk. Imagine you're back in Shakespearean England, right? Listening to them talk and seeing them talk, and they're witches. Scene 2, a camp near forest. Alarm within. Here comes Duncan, the king, Malcolm and Donalbain, his son, and Lennox, one of the noblemen, with attendants meeting with a bleeding sergeant. So there's a sergeant full of blood. Duncan, the king. What bloody man is that? He can report, as seemeth by his plight, of the revolt, the newest state. There's something going, right? There's a battle going on. Malcolm, his son, says, this is the sergeant who, like a good and hardy soldier, fought against my captivity. Hail, brave friend. Say to the king the knowledge of the broil as thou didst leave it. In other words, he helped Malcolm escape, right, from the enemy. Now, who are they fighting? Well, we don't know yet. Sergeant, this is the bloody sergeant. Doubtful it stood, as two spent swimmers that do cling together and choke their art. Choke their art means prevent each other from swimming because they're holding on to each other. Isn't that an interesting way to say that? Well, why don't you just say that? Well, remember, this is entertainment, language in that time as entertainment. Do cling together and choke their art, prevent themselves from swimming. The merciless McDonald, worthy to be a rebel. For to that the multiplying villainies of nature do swarm upon him. From the western isles of kerns and gallowglasses, a type of wild Irish soldier armed with an axe, is supplied. Sounds like they're fighting the Irish. And fortune, on his damned quarrel smiling, showed like a rebel's whore. But all's too weak. For brave Macbeth, well, he deserves that name. Disdaining fortune, and with his brandished steel, which smoked with bloody execution like a valor's minion, carved out his passage. So he's talking about Macbeth killing some people, right? Kern, foot soldier's minion, till he faced the slave, which e'er ne'er shook hands nor bade farewell to him, until he unseamed him from the knave to the chaps, and fixed his head upon the battlements. Whew. Do you realize what you just heard? Macbeth just beheaded this guy, right? Unseamed him, right? He ripped MacDowell open from the navel to the cheeks. And where the sun first appears, east to the west, right? He just split him open with his sword, unseamed him from the nave to the chaps, and fixed his head upon our battlements. So he splits him open and then puts his head on the battlements. You got an imagination, ladies and gentlemen? Do you have an imagination? Now, in modern times, they try to show you that, right? With realistic, right? Graphics, AI, all that crap. Put your imagination here. He unseamed him. Oh. Duncan. Oh, valiant cousin, worthy gentleman. Who's he talking about? Macbeth. Sergeant. As whence the sun gins his reflection, shipwrecking storms and direful thunders break, so that from the spring, whence comfort seemed to come, discomfort swells. Mark, King of Scotland, mark! No sooner justice had with valor armed compelled these skipping kerns to trust their heels, but the Norwegian lord, surveying vantage with furnished arms and new supplies of men, began a fresh assault. So no sooner did Macbeth stop these, did he do this, then you got these other guys coming in. Duncan, dismayed not this our captains Macbeth and Banquo? In other words, didn't that disturb Macbeth and Banquo? Sergeant, yes. But as sparrows, eagles, or the hare, the lion, if I say soothed, I must report that they were as cannons overcharged with double cracks, so that they doubly redoubled strokes upon the foe, except that meant to bathe in reeking wounds. Oh, memorizer, another Golatha. I cannot tell, I am faint, my gashes cry for help. So there's some notes on the bottom, cause of slaughter, making a place memorable, like where Christ was crucified. So it really, and Banquo and Macbeth got even more angry, and they doubled their efforts. Duncan, so well thy words become thee as thy wounds. They smack of honor both. Go, get him some surgeons. So the sergeant leaves attended. They take him away. Who comes here? Here comes Ross, another nobleman. Malcolm, the worthy thane of Ross. Lennox, What haste looks through his eyes? Should he look that seems to speak things strange? Ross, God save the king. Duncan, whence camest thou, worthy Thane? Where are you coming from? From Fife, great king, where the Norwegian banners flout the sky and fan our people cold. Norway himself, with terrible numbers, assisted by the most disloyal traitor, the Thane of Cawdor, began to dismal conflict, till that Bellona's bridegroom, lapped in proof, confronted him with self-comparisons. So stop here for a moment. Till that Bellona's bridegroom, who's that? The mate of the goddess of war, Macbeth. He's calling Macbeth, right? The goddess of war, lapped in proof, clad in armor, tested, confronted him with self-comparisons, point against point, rebellious, arm against arm, curbing his lavish spirit, and to conclude, the victory fell on us. In other words, he's telling him Macbeth is confronted. Who? Who? The Norwegian king, the Norwegian. Norway himself, the king of Norway. He bought him. Duncan, great happiness. Look how happy the king is. Ross, that now Sweno, the Norway's king, craves composition. What does that mean? He's asking for peace. Why? Because Macbeth beat him. Nor would we deign him burial of his own men. We're not going to allow him to bury his own men, which in those days was pretty harsh judgment, until he dispersed at St. Column's Inch $10,000 to our general use. Give me some money, and then I'll let you bury your men. Now, you have to understand that look how tight this language is. Look how concise this language is. He's talking about a battle which could have lasted hours, and he's bringing it down to a few sentences. And what did we learn? That Macbeth is a fierce warrior. Fierce. Duncan, no more that Thane of Cawdor shall derive our bosom interest. Go, pronounce his present death, and with the former title greet Macbeth. So he's taking away this title, Thane of Cawdor, and he's giving it to Macbeth. Ross, I'll see it done. Duncan, what he hath, noble Macbeth had won. What he had lost, noble Macbeth had won. And so the king leaves. That's another scene. Quick. Remember I was telling you quick scenes? So what do we learn? Macbeth is a fierce warrior. He's fighting like crazy on behalf of Duncan, his king. And now we go to scene 3, and there's a heath near Forres. A heath near Forres. And who's going to be there? We already know, because they told us that's where they're going, the 3 witches. And here they come. First witch, where hast thou been, sister? Second witch, killing swine. Third witch, sister, where thou? First witch, a sailor's wife had chestnuts in her lap, and munched and munched and munched. Give me, quoth I. Aroint thee, witch, thou rump-felled Runyon cries, her husband to Aleppo gone, master of the tiger, but in sieve I'd thither sail, and like a rat without a tail, I'll do. What's that all about? Right? She's just talking. Second witch, I'll give thee a wind. I'll help you. Third, you're kind, says that. Third witch, and I another. First witch, I myself have all the other, and the very ports they blow, all the quarters that they know. I, the shipman's card, I will drain him dry as hay. Sleep shall neither night nor day hang upon his penthouse lid. He shall live, a man forbid. Weary, so nights 9 times 9, shall he divide peak and pine. Though his bark cannot be lost, yet it shall be tempest-tossed. Look what I have. Show me, show me. So you read that again, but what she's talking about is the mariner's compass. Here's some definitions for you. Under a curse. These are witches, remember? They're talking about curses that they've done. Show me, says the second witch. First witch, here, I have the pilot's thumb. Imagine you're in the audience and they're talking about, a ship, a person's thumb. I have the pilot's thumb. Wrecked his homeward did he come. They caused the shipwreck. Drums within. Third witch, a drum, a drum. Macbeth that come. They all say together, the weird sisters, hand in hand, posters of the sea and land, thus do go about, thrice to thine, thrice to mine, and thrice again, and make up 9. Peace, the charms wound up. Here comes Macbeth and Banquo. So foul and fair a day I have not seen. Banquo, how far is it called to forest? What are these, so withered and so wild in their attire? They don't look like inhabitants of the earth. And yet they're on the earth. Live you? Or are you aught that man may question? You seem to understand me. He's talking to these witches. What the hell are these things? By each at once her chappy fingers laying upon her skinny lips, you should be women, and yet you've got beards. Forbid me to interpret that you're so. Macbeth, speak if you can. What are you? First witch, hail Macbeth, hail to thee, Thane of Glamis. Second witch, hail Macbeth, hail to thee, Thane of Cawdor. Third witch, all hail Macbeth, thou shalt be king hereafter. Banquo, good sir, Macbeth, why do you start? And seem so feared things that sound so fair. Aye, the name of truth are ye fantastical, or that indeed which outwardly you show. My noble partner you greet with present grace and great prediction, of noble having and royal hope, that he seems rapt withal. To me you speak not. If you can look into the seeds of time, witches, and say which grain will grow and which will not, speak to me, who neither beg nor fear your favors for your hate. First witch, hail. Second witch, hail. So Banquo is saying, hey, wait a minute, you're talking to Macbeth. What about me? Hail. Second witch, hail. Third witch, hail. First witch, lesser than Macbeth and greater. Second witch, not so happy, but much happier. Third witch, thou shalt get kings, though thou be none. So all hail Macbeth and Banquo. Banquo and Macbeth, all hail. Macbeth, stay, stop, stay, you imperfect speakers. Tell me more. By Sanel's death I know I am Thane of Glamis, but how am I the Thane of Cawdor? The Thane of Cawdor is alive, a prosperous gentleman, and to be king stands not within the prospect of belief for me, no more than it is Cawdor. Say from whence you owe this strange intelligence. How did you get this information? Or why upon this blasted heath you stop our way with such prophetic greetings? Speak, I charge you. But the witches vanish. Whew. Banquo, the earth hath bubbles, as water has, and these are of them? Whither are they vanished? Where'd they go? Macbeth, into the air. And what seemed corporal melted as breath into the wind. Would they had stayed? I wish they stayed. Banquo, were such things here as we do speak about? Or have we eaten an insane root that takes the reason prisoner? Did we smoke something we shouldn't? Macbeth, your children shall be kings, but you shall be king, Banquo says. And Thane of Quarter? When it not so, Banquo. To the self-same time and words. Wait, who's here? Here comes Ross and Angus. Ross. The king hath happily received, Macbeth, the news of thy success. And when he reads thy personal venture in the rebels' fight, his wonders and his praises do contend, which should be thine, or his, silenced with that in viewing of the rest of the selfsame day, he finds thee in the stout Norwegian ranks, nothing afeard of what thyself didst make. Strange images of death, as thick as hail, came post with post, and every one did bear the praises of his kingdom great defense, and poured them down before him. So he's basically saying, everybody's speaking your praise. You did great. Angus says, we are sent to give thee from our royal master thanks, only to herald thee into his sight, not pay thee, to bring you in front of him. Ross, and for your earnest of the great honor, he bade me from him call thee Thane of Cawdor, in which addition, hail, most worthy Thane, for it is thine. You see what's happening here? Suddenly, this prediction is coming true. Thane of Cawdor. Banquo, what? Can the devil speak true? Are these witches true? Macbeth, the Thane of Cawdor lives. Why do you dress me down in borrowed robes? Angus, well, who was the Thane, lives yet, but under heavy judgment bears that life, which he deserves to lose. He's telling him basically he's doomed. Whether he was combined with those in Norway or did line the rebel with hidden help and vantage, or that with both he labored in his country's wreck, I don't know. But treason's capital, confessed and proved, have overthrown him. He's a traitor. So there's little notes here when you see these yellow marks. I started putting the notes on the side for you. Macbeth, aside. What does that mean? What's this aside? See that? Aside means he's not talking to these people anymore. He turns to the audience. Glamis? Thane of Cawdor? The greatest is behind? Then he talks to Ross and Angus. Thanks for your pains. To Banquo. Do you not hope your children shall be kings? When those that gave the Thane of Cawdor to me promised no less to them. Banquo. That trusted home might yet enkindle you onto the crown. Besides, the Thane of Cawdor. But it's strange sometimes to win us to our harm. The instruments of darkness tell us truth. To win us to our harm, the instruments of darkness tell us truth. Win us with the honored trifles to betray in deepest consequence. Cousins, a word, I pray you. Macbeth, aside. Two truths are told, as happy prologues to the swelling act of the imperial theme. Hyphen, see the hyphen, he turns back. I thank you, gentlemen. Goes back to talking to the audience. Cannot be ill, cannot be good. If ill, why hath it given me earnest of success, commencing in a truth? I am Thane of Cawdor. And if good, why do I yield to that suggestion whose horrid image doth unfix my hair and make me seated heart knock on my ribs against the use of nature? Present fears are less than horrible imaginings. Isn't that beautiful? Present fear. He's confused. He goes, what's going on? My thought, whose murder yet is but fantastical, shakes so that my single state of man that function is smothered in surmising. And nothing is what is not. Nothing is but what is not. He's really torn now. He's really getting confused. Banquo, look how our partner's wrapped. Macbeth, because they see him in deep thought, right? Aside, if chance will have me king, chance may crown me. Without my stir, without me doing anything, new horrors come upon him, says Banquo, like our strange garments cleave not to their mold, but with the aid of use. Macbeth, come what may, come what come may. Time and the hour runs through the roughest day. Banquo, worthy Macbeth, we stay upon your leisure. Macbeth, give me your favor. My dull brain was wrought. So he's been talking to himself, talking to the audience. He's been away from them. They've been noticing it. And now he says, give me a break. My dull brain was wrought with things forgotten. Next time you start thinking and somebody says, what are you thinking about? Tell them, my dull brain was wrought with things forgotten. Beautiful language. Tell me that's not beautiful. Kind gentlemen, your pains are registered, where every day I turn the leaf to read them. Let us toward the king. Think upon what hath chanced, and at more time, the interim having waited, let us speak our free hearts to other. Banquo, very gladly. Macbeth, until then enough. Come, friends. And they leave. So that was a little longer scene, but you see what's going on. Those predictions by the witches are coming true. Scene 4, Forres, the palace. Flourish. Here comes Duncan, Malcolm, his son, Lennox, in attendance. Duncan, is the execution done on Cawdor? Are not those commissions yet returned? Malcolm, my liege, they are not yet come back, but I have spake with one that saw him die, so they killed Cawdor for treason, who did report that very frankly he confessed his treasons, implored your highness's pardon, and sent forth deep repentance. Nothing in his life became him like leaving it. He died as one that have been studied in his death, to throw away the dearest thing he owned to wear a careless trifle. Duncan, there's no art to find the mind's construction in the face. He was a gentleman on whom I built an absolute trust. You see, Duncan, I had to kill him. He had treason. Here comes Macbeth, Banquo, Ross, and Angus. Oh, worthy cousin, he's greeting Macbeth. The sin of my ingratitude even now was heavy on me. Thou art so far before that swiftest wing of recompense is slow to overtake thee. What would thou hadst been deserved that the proportion, both of thanks and payment, might have been mine only. Only I have left to say more is thy due than more than all can pay. If I read this again, this is a beautiful speech that Duncan gives Macbeth, culminating in saying, more to thy due than more than all can pay. I owe you much more than I can give you. Don't you feel like that sometimes about people? Macbeth, the service and loyalty I owe, in doing it, pays itself. Okay? Macbeth is basically saying, I'm just doing my job. Your Highness's part is to receive our duties. Our duties are to your throne and state children and servants, which do but what they should do by doing everything, safe toward your love and your honor. Duncan, well, come hither, come over. I have begun to plant thee and will labor to make thee full of growing. Noble Banquo, thou hast no less deserve, nor must be known no less to have done so. So let me enfold thee and hold thee to my heart. Banquo, there if I grow, the harvest is your own, sire. Duncan, my plenteous joy, wanton in fullness, seek to hide themselves in drops of sorrow. Sons, kinsmen, thanes, and you, whose places are the nearest, know that we establish our estate upon our eldest Malcolm. He's making Malcolm his heir, whom we name hereafter the Prince of Cumberland, which honor must not accompany invest him only, but signs of nobleness, like stars, shall shine on all deservers, from hence to Inverness, and bind us further to you. Macbeth, the rest is labor, which is not used for you. I'll be myself the haberganger, and make joyful the hearing of my wife with your approach. So humbly take my leave. They want to go to Inverness. He wants to go tell his wife they're coming. And Duncan says, my worthy Cawdor. Macbeth, the Prince of Cumberland. That's a step on which I must fall down, or else overleap. For in my way, I'm finishing this because we're going to stop here from the next reading. On my wish, on which I must fall down or else overleap. When he made Malcolm his heir, and don't forget, Macbeth is now operating on the witch's predictions. For in my way it lies. What's it? Malcolm. Stars, hide your fires. Let not light see my black and deep desires. The eye wink at the hand, and yet let that be which the eye fears when it is done to see. See, he doesn't want to admit himself what he's thinking. What is he thinking? I wonder what he's thinking. Exit. You see what I mean about language? Do you see what I mean about language? You've been reading with Jimmy. You've been reading Macbeth. This is the first part of all the parts. There's 6 or 7. I'm not going to tell you. You'll have to read them with me. There's also be an analysis. But they're on my website. They're on my YouTube channel, Reading with Jimmy. There's this, you can scan the QR code you can scan. My email is jimmy@readingwithjimmy.com. Jimmy@readingwithjimmy.com. This is Macbeth. You've read the first part where the witch's predictions come true. He's now the Thane of Cawdor, like the Prince of Cawdor, right? But now Duncan has made his son Malcolm the heir apparent. Now what? Don't forget Banquo's got a prediction too, that he's gonna, his heirs are gonna be the kings. And Macbeth's off to talk to Lady Macbeth, who becomes a key player in this, about what's going to happen. Thanks for coming. I hope you enjoyed it. Come back again, read part 2 with me. I hope you're going to come and read part 2 with me. I'm anxious to have you with me. Thanks for reading. Good luck. Stay with the classics. Continue to browse my website and YouTube channel for all the classics. Take it easy and be careful of witches. Stay away from them. Don't go near them.